Destination Newry, broadcasting to the world from Railway Avenue. Maybe it can be regarded as the traditional and historic heart of the town. Mind you, the people up in High Street would very quickly tell you, no, we're the heart of the town. I have Dette Hughes with me now, and Dette is with the East Border region, really a kind of outreach from Europe to Ireland and Ireland to Europe, and you've good projects coming at the moment, and one of them, of course, is one of them is the Kilbrony area in Rostrevor, the park area. It's a valuable space. It's a space with which things can be done, and that fact isn't lost on you because you've got plans.
Yes, Rowan, we have indeed. Through East Border region, Newry and Mourne District Council have received funding to enhance the facilities at Kilbrony. As you know, they have a lot of facilities there already.
There's the camping, there's the restaurant.
Yes.
There's the tennis courts there. There's the general park area where people can come to picnic and whatever.
Yes, and they've just recently completed the mountain bike trail.
Of course,
which has been hugely successful.
Yeah.
I think it's really exceeding everybody's expectations. The demand for that is really fantastic. So really, I suppose, to build on that and to provide more facilities, what the council have come up with, they're now commencing to build, they're calling it a multi-purpose indoor event space.
And what is that?
So what it means is that it's a very flexible space. So you could have meetings, conferences, trade fairs, workshops, small events all in it. You could also have, where it will be important is if there's a bigger event going on, for example, in the mountain bike, it could act as the headquarters or the coordination point for that.
There's a big hall coming to me in vision. What is it going to be like?
It's not a huge hall, it's more a number of small sort of spaces. There will also be showering facilities for, when you come down from the mountain bike. Currently you can get your bike washed, but you can't get washed. So there'll be showering facilities there for the people coming off the mountain. So it's, but it's not going to be exclusively for the mountain bikers at all. It's for anyone at all, community groups, sporting organisations, and anyone that can come and use the facilities.
What way does the funding work? Does the council make formal application to you for funding for the facility?
Well, what happens, Rowan, is, as you know, East Border, we represent 10 local authorities, 7 in Northern Ireland and 3 in the Republic of Ireland. And we're really there to help them to draw down money from Europe, primarily from the EU Interreg 4A programme, which is a cross-border programme.
Because I think it's probably true to say that ordinary folk in ordinary councils won't automatically know how to do this. It's not their line of business.
No, it's absolutely not. And it's not easy to get the money. This project, for example, was maybe 2-3 years in the pipeline before it actually was funded. But what happens is it's a very coordinated approach. The tourism officers from our 10 councils with East Border, they basically sit round the table and they come up with programmes of activity that they could do. So it's all themed. So countryside tourism is the theme that Kilbrony would be coming under. So they would have come up with ideas and projects. So they combine them all together. Yeah. And we then have a range of projects all under the various themes.
You bring forward.
And we bring that forward. We combine it into one package, into one project, and then we get the funding for that. Yeah. This way, the Kilbrony bit is just over $500,000, but the overall project that it's funded through is 3.2 million.
And is the 3.2 million, is it pan council? It's Newry Council, it's Louth Council, somewhere else, or is it all? Is it Newry sharing the whole 3.5 million?
The 3.2 million is between the 10 local authorities.
So
but it's not just divided by 10. It's all on the basis of need.
It's been costed and
absolutely, and you've some very significant projects like the Kilbrony. Yeah. You've another big project in Down County Museum, which we'll maybe come back to. But and then you've other smaller projects throughout the whole region.
Can I ask you? You mentioned the length of time, 3 years, in getting the Kilbrony thing through, or thereabouts. It's so self-evidently a good idea. Why could it not have been signed off in a year. Or what were they saying? Were they expressing doubts and you had to take them through the doubts?
Not
Is that the way
I
it works?
suppose there was a bit of that, but I suppose the reality of it is, Ron, EU funding isn't easy to administer. There is an awful lot of bureaucracy. You really have to make a very strong business case for each project. But then what we were finding within this project, because there were a few quite large projects, they were nearly dealt with as a standalone.
Yes.
So the funders had to be sure that each of those projects could stand up on their own and that they were economically viable and that the numbers predicted to use them were there and all of that. So you've very lengthy economic appraisals to go through. You then have tender processes and all of that. So it's not a straightforward process, and that's really, I suppose, why East Border's role is important, because we take all of that bureaucracy and all of that away from the people. Council, so we do that on their behalf.
You're great can do it, I tell you. But then you're managing that and the thing comes to fruition. How do they monitor it? I know you guys have been over to Brussels and you've been talking to them and you've been making presentations there. Is that how accountability works? Are you called to Brussels to present your case of accountability?
Not really, to be honest. The accountability is really more in the sort of the audit, more in the financial side of it. So we would have to monitor all of the spend before it happens. But so to give you an example, before any publicity to do with the project goes out into the public, it all has to come through us. We have to get it all approved, make sure the logos are there and that the EU funding is recognised, and all of the tenders have to be pre-approved to make sure they're following the very stringent EU rules. So we are checking everything before it happens. We're then coming in and auditing all of the spend afterwards to make sure it's all been spent in line with the rules. And then we report back to our managing authority, the Special EU Programmes body. And they're here in Ireland, and then they report into Brussels.
Okay.
So that's kind of the way it works.
It's kind of watertight, so
it's all about making sure everybody follows the rules.
Aye.
That's what it boils down to.
So when will the first sod be turned on Kilbrony?
Well, that happened there last Monday. The contractors are on site and they're expecting it to be finished, I think, end of July.
Wow, that'll be good.
So we want to get a bit of the summer if we get one.
Of course. You've other things happening, don't you?
Well, we have indeed. This is one project, but we have a total of 15 million euro of EU funding that we manage on behalf of our councils. There's a range of projects there. There's a lot of enterprise support programmes. We have an energy project, biodiversity, a whole range of projects. But I would encourage people to go onto our website and have a wee look at those.
And that website is what?
It's www.eastborderregion.com.
That's easy. East Border Region, one word.
Just rolls off the tongue.
Just as so handy, eastborderregion. I have to ask you, and do tell me, does it impact negatively on you in terms of your credibility when something like the Narrowwater Bridge debacle occurred? Is there someone in Europe saying, in God's name, how did you get that wrong? Because you were a lead player.
Well, yes, we were the lead partner on that project. But no, I honestly don't think there was, any blame. It was just one of these. It was circumstances totally beyond anyone's control. Nobody could have foreseen what happened. Well, obviously very unfortunate. Certainly
not under your control. But I say, and I say again, I've said it before here, the quantity surveying capacity of Louth County Council, I don't expect you to comment on this, the quantity surveying capacity of Louth County Council in coming up with wrong figures, that's beyond belief, and that's what sunk the Narrowwater Bridge. But thank goodness it doesn't reflect badly on you. It's onward and upward, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is, and I suppose it's an experience, and we would still be very supportive of the project, and hopefully we'll be able to get money for it again. Yeah.
The leaf always falls where it's meant to fall. That's what they say, and that's the way it'll work out. So, is Europe still as fecund in terms of money? Is there lots of it about?
It's a difficult time at the moment, Ron, because the funding tends to come in cycles, and this current programme, Interreg 4A, is now really coming to an end. By June 2015, all of that money will have been spent. So there's no new money really available at the moment. So I suppose our focus now going forward has to be on the new programmes. Now there will be an Interreg 5.
So what's your lead time for that?
Consultation for that. Well, in theory, it should be starting in 2015, but I would doubt it. Then there's always a lag. There always is a gap. So probably being realistic, it's more likely to be 2016.
Yeah, and in the interim, you will be managing the projects that are in place now.
Oh yes, we will. I mean, we have a very busy year trying to get all of our projects. A lot of them only got funding over a year ago, so they really are. They're playing catch up. And just to give you an example of within the project that Kilbrony is funded through, it's part of a wider tourism development plan, and there's product development going on across our 10 local authorities in that project. For example, there's a floating jetty being built in Portadown and one in Drogheda, a new play facility in Navan in Armagh. And another a project that's really getting people's interest is the relocation of the High Cross up and down Patrick.
Oh yes.
I don't know if you've seen any of the media.
They shifted it. Where did they shift it to?
Yeah.
Did it go into the church or where did it go?
It's going into the museum.
Into the museum,
yes, but they've removed it now, and that was a major operation logistically. You can just imagine trying to move this cross that has been there for hundreds and hundreds of years.
That's the lovely thing, and it's a dilemma for you, because when you want to go and see a high cross of Ireland, an early Christian cross, you want it to go zing when you hit it. You want it to be granite or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you go up to Dublin and go to the National Museum and you go in, and it's a plaster cast mould, and you are grossly underwhelmed by it. Now, I know there's a balancing thing,
but that's not going to happen in this case, because what they're doing is they're moving the original cross, and they're creating a new extension to the museum to actually to house it and to preserve it.
Fantastic.
But what they're doing as well is they're actually making a new replica cross, but it is being made out of Moore and granite.
Wow.
So it's going to be as close to the original
as they're going to
get. Oh, exactly. It's going to be almost identical.
And that's maybe 10 feet high.
Oh, it's at least 10 feet high.
Aye, 10, 15 feet.
So that's actually all happening as well, and that's funded by the same project of Kilbrony. So that's a really exciting project. And another interesting thing, when they did actually lift the cross, they discovered a time capsule.
You're joking.
Under the cross.
Now, hold on a minute. Yeah. When was the cross put there? Relatively recently. But we're not talking medieval times.
Date, if I had known.
No, we're not talking medieval times, are we? But what was in the time capsule?
They haven't opened it yet.
They haven't opened it. So and is it a modern-ish time capsule, or is it from medieval times?
No. I'll have to get you to
That'll
speak
be very interesting.
Mike King, the curator up in the museum.
So we'll ring Mike.
Yes, you should get him on your show. He's very
Sarah's
good.
Our research. Sarah Gilbert's our research person here. Yeah, she does a great job, and we'll get her in touch with Mike King to hear about the time capsule.
Yes, so that is very interesting.
Yeah.
But I suppose the idea of it is, Rowan, that we'd fund all of these sort of relatively small scale infrastructure projects throughout the region. The idea being then when you go to promote the area, you can promote the whole range of activities.
Yes,
You're kind of clustering your activities and then trying to encourage.
That's a homely word, cluster, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's a good word for it.
But you've more chance of getting people to come to the region if you've more to offer them. You've more chance of them travelling around and seeing more activities, and ultimately then spend more money, and that's only good for the region.
Now people are talking about a cycle track down alongside the canal, going all the way through to Dundalk and further into the Boyne Valley kind of thing. Goodness gracious. These are good times you live in.
Well,
you enjoy your work, you do?
I do, I love it, I have to say. Most of the time I love it.
Yeah. And do you get out? Do you manage to get out on location in your willies and your barber?
Well, not so much of that yet, but hopefully when all of these projects get up and running. But yes, we're out and about round all of our member councils. One day I could be in Bangor, and then I could be down in Meath. So it's very interesting.
Dette Hughes, thank you for coming in. You're a good woman. I'm going to play you a lovely piece of music. It's a man called Leonard Cohen, and Leonard's going to sing for you Suzanne.
Lovely.
Thank you. So here it comes. Thank you.